One thing I love about the details of Yu-Gi-Oh cards is how deep the backstories can get of certain monster cards that aren't just famous mainstay archetypes. I'm not just talking about the lore printed on normal monster cards, but rather full stories of random monsters told across other monster spell and trap cards using names and imagery. In this case, the actual effects of the spells and traps don't always directly complement the monster in the imagery, unlike a spell that is meant for a certain monster like Released Restraint for the Gearfried line. In this video, I'm going over my favorite instances of monster cards that received this treatment, and I'll be doing my best to interpret these stories, even if I have to rely on my own personal speculation for some more ambiguous parts and ordering. So consider that a disclaimer. Also, AT from SoftwareAgentsCorp is joining me for bits of this video because the more the merrier, and Yu-Gi-Oh is very merry.
They call me the Godfather of games.
Now with that pesky intro out of the way, it's time to piece together the top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh monster card backstories. Number 10, Dark King of the Abyss. Do you want to hear a story about a guy who just can't win? He's like a combination of Baraka and Milhouse with his luck. He was one of dozens of normal monsters released in the first American TCG set that you'd think nothing of with his poor stats. But someone at Konami either had some bottled up hatred for this demon in need of a manicure, or they were intrigued by his card lore, which states he once had the power to rule over the dark. We learn he was demoted by Dark Ruler Hades, from King of Hell to random demon guy, or just king of some unspecified abyss.
They should make a version called Dethroned King of the Abyss.
The former king devises a plan to get his old job back, executed on the card Hatebuster, where the king uses, is that a bomb? That's some otherworldly dark magic right there. I think this bomb had a substance in it that drained Hades of his power, allowing the king to use his Mind Drain skill and a few other spells on Hades to kill him and take his power. It backfired quite a bit though, as someone seems to have used the anime version of Call of the Haunted on Hades and brought him back as a zombie. Now revived Hades throws the king into some hell magma. But apparently the king's okay in powerful rebirth with seemingly more power than before. Finally, the Dark King can win after his past failures. No Destruct Potion shows Hades knows what he's doing and successfully pulls the reversal, leaving the Dark King to die at the hands of the Archfiend Emperor. Hope you like pandemonium, Dark King. Number 9, the Huge Revolution Gang of Monster Cards. Initially I thought this was just a self-contained series since it combines the forces of 3 monster cards showing the stages of a revolt: oppressed people, people running about, and united resistance. However, that's just one part of a major story involving these cards. They tie in with the King from the Tyrant series of trap cards, who is seemingly different than the Imperial Order King, but that's a tangent. These people were under the proverbial foot of this emperor who went on a rampage of power and a vacation, which was apparently too hot for TV with his toplessness according to the international releases of his cards. They gave him an undershirt to cover up his partial nudity. As the tyrant gets more unreasonable with his physical actions, the kingdom gradually takes away rights from its population, which cards depict as oppression by the royal knights. We then get the 3 monster cards representing the rebellion slowly forming until the Huge Revolution begins. And then it fails. Thanks for playing. However, the reversal is reversed, since the rest of the population and his own guards are fed up with this emperor's unruly behavior. So the whole kingdom rises up against him, and then his superior demotes him to peasant. I probably would have tried to lay low if I were him. Maybe take off the now meaningless crown, shave the beard, you know, clean yourself up a bit. Number 8, Coach Goblin. This is a little fun one. Coach Goblin had his best client, Giant Orc, in the ring against Des Kangaroo. Orc lost, so Coach Goblin had to take the role of second Goblin and enter the ring. As you'd expect, he gets pummeled. The next part is a bit of speculation on my end. When taking his client on a tour of the underworld for some training to prepare for a rematch against the kangaroo, the orc misses the bus when getting ice cream, which is strangely cute, leaving Coach Goblin to take the tour alone. During the tour, Different Dimension Crazy Beast pulls Coach out of his own dimension, which you think would be the end for the Goblin, but he shows why he's the coach and tames this beast, finding a way back to his dimension. Maybe now he has enough hardened battle experience to challenge that kangaroo to a rematch of his own, and we'll get to what's going on in this card in a later entry because it's pretty interesting. Number 7. Freed the Matchless General. He was initially just a brave wanderer. During his time scouring the world, he got in a fight with Lizard Man Yugioh, who got caught between dimensions in their battle. I don't even think Freed knew what was going on based on his facial expression here. This enraged the reptile to pursue Freed even more, and in time gave Freed enough battle experience to become a matchless general. You think you can match him? Keep dreaming. He indicated this by growing a manly mustache. He is brought on to lead an army in the midst of a war. He has a faint plan and leads on the offensive. All seems to be going smoothly until his old enemy returns even stronger, and that's the succinct cliffhanger version of his story. It seems short, but there are more plot lines involved with some other monsters that you'll see on this list, so this is not the last we've seen of Freed. Also, there's an evil version of Freed. I don't know what's up with him. He just kind of exists with no other story. It's fine though, just leave him alone, he's not bothering anyone. Number 6. Goblin of Greed. His story started on Upstart Goblin, which is what I thought his name was for the longest time. As someone who loved using the Bad Reaction to Simochi Anti-Cure deck, I'm familiar with this guy. Anyway, he lives up to the greed in his name. He seems to think he can get away with swindling or straight up theft using his charming smile. I've never seen the pot of greed so distraught. However, the greed karma caught up with him as he lost all of his funds. He might have been robbed by the Dark Scorpion gang since he was the one being attacked on their Dark Scorpion combination attack trap card. The goblin sticks to his old ways though, trying to sell his stolen pot of greed, only to get caught red-handed when the buyer discovers the handle is broken. At least the pot looks happy again. He attempts to regain his wealth with get-rich-quick schemes that never work. He devises his next plan, which seems to be begging in an ironic twist compared to where he once was. Using these coins he received, he attempts to undo his actions for a little turnaround in fortune by using these scraps as payment for the broken pot and jar. The store owner rejects it though by throwing it right back in his face along with the damaged goods. At least the story ends with the goblin getting an honest job as the guy who puts the Halo things on Moki Moki. See, he learned his, oh no, don't restart the cycle, classic goblin. Number 5, Marauding Captain.
Murdering Captain? I don't care if he is useful. I'm not gonna put a cold-blooded murder in my deck. I'd rather have a marmalade I don't know how to pronounce.
The captain appears to be a part of Freed's army, but he goes through a lot more than his general. His first task seems to be assaulting the goblin attack force. Since that was simple enough, now it's time for the next logical step. Go fight the devil, or despair from the dark if you want to be more accurate. Freed helps him out with this daunting task, but the battle is not over yet, since Blazing Inpachi and Invader of Darkness attack the captain after he finds his new ally, Yugioh. While we never seem to get a definitive outcome to this fight, we see the warrior returned alive, assuming this card speaks the truth. However, he only has one sword now, so it's likely after that battle, he fought the Archfiend King who shattered his sword, leaving a haunting feeling in the captain. Or maybe he just ate some bad shrimp, which I guess he cooked because he became a chef briefly when helping Freed's troops. But downtime is sparse as an invading army attacks, calling for the captain to be a reinforcement of the army. The army doesn't do very well, so the captain takes on his motivating captain persona. He gets yelled at by the tyrant, gets his wounds tended, and is thrown back onto the battlefield as Freed gets all the special treatment. And no one bothers to remove the arrows from his back during any of this. This war is not going well. And just to add more chaos to the mix, Yugioh returns for revenge against Freed and is more cyberized. Freed may not be able to defeat him, but the captain tries to reason with his former ally. During all of this, somehow a dimensional portal opens up, which is apparently a common occurrence as we're about to learn in upcoming entries, and throws both characters into different realms, ending the captain's story for now. Number 4, Lady Warrior of the Wasteland. The Wasteland is not where warriors should hang out. I thought Sojin was their field of choice. I think she needs a more fitting homeland, and she soon gets one in the different dimension. After tying in a fight against Warrior Digreffer, she gets flung into a portal. The portal that opened dragged her into the different dimension arm first. The force was apparently too strong for her, since the next time we see her, she has a metal arm and is a different character entirely, becoming Different Dimension Warrior Lady. While there aren't exact reasons why other parts of her outer appearance changed, we see her experiences in the different dimension changed her in ways to make her a better warrior. She got a cool sword and was recruited to be in an army. Plus, Warrior Digreffer found his way into this dimension where they had their rematch.
I think the reason why Warrior Digreffer and Warrior Lady hate each other so much is because he doesn't meet the criteria to be summoned by her effect, and that pisses him off something awful. Either that or he stole her head. That dirty rat.
Anyway, the fight ends in a draw because the dimensions love to shift randomly, causing the warrior lady to explore even more dimensions. All her wandering finds her the different dimension gate, leading to what I hypothesize is her endgame battleground. In this dystopian purple land, DD Warrior Lady takes down an evil mutation of Warrior Digreffer. After this, she experiences her last dimensional shift with Dimension Fusion, returning her home with DD Warrior and a bunch of other characters. What was that whale doing here? There are a few other currently anime-only cards that do expand her story, but overall, I'm glad she got a happy ending. I also like the alternate ending in the card Guy Dance, where Digreffer tries to seduce her, but she's having none of it. I love the art style here. Number 3, Sangan. I feel when he was created, Konami didn't expect this little gremlin guy to have a major character arc mirroring his time on the ban list. Sangan is just hanging out in Monsterville, planning to go on the tour bus from the underworld where he has apparently gone in the past. But as the card mistake implies, he makes a blunder and gets onto the tour bus to Forbidden Realms, being a play on the forbidden card list since all the cards that were on this bus were banned at the time of this card's release. Sangan, terrified, is comforted by Graceful Charity Angel, but trouble strikes as this bus is pulled over for smuggling pots of greed, and the riders on the bus are arrested. I guess the officers thought they were accomplices. It seems a bit random, but let's go with it. Then he's thrown in jail with Witch of the Black Forest, and that's how the story ends. Poor Sangan, he looked so happy to go on a tour, he just wanted to have a fun day. Konami, resolve this. Make the ending happy. Unless the true ending is Witch and Sangan combine their powers to form Sandwich and escape jail, I'd accept that. Number 2, Warrior Digreffer. He was prevalent in the DD Warrior Lady plot, but let's look at his side of the story. Many cards depict him as a wandering warrior battling other monsters that stand in his way, like the Warrior Lady, or creating a team assembled in Cry Havoc and shown fighting dragons in the Allied Forces spell card. But his journey leads him to the paths of destiny, where this story branches out to multiple outcomes. By going down the light path, he might find the array of revealing light. I assume this light transforms him into either Light Ray Greffer or Ryu Senshi. I tend to think it's Light Ray if he goes down the light path, because I could then see him acquiring new weapons from Swords at Dawn, turning him into Gemini Knight Digreffer. Now hold on to that card for a second, because we have to go down the dark path of destiny. Here he finds the Gravity Axe, which rejects him, so he crawls over to the Painful Return path, which gives him the choice of evil or evil, so naturally he chooses evil. How unexpected. He can pick Dark Greffer on the right, where he is overtaken by the Dark Light, but the canonical path seems to be the one on the left, where he finds the Sword of Guardian Bao, which combines Digreffer's body with Bao's, creating Dark Lucius. Lucius finds DD Warrior Lady in whatever dimension they're in, who slashes him into some portal, which somehow puts him in a realm where Knight de Greffer also exists, showing the different dimension could be Yugioh's multiverse. Then Premature Return spits the Knight back out into the regular universe, one of my favorite parody cards, which may be why Lucius is still in the other dimension fighting the Warrior Lady, so switch around those last few scenarios if that's the case. The final twist in this is the monster called Eater of Millions may have caused all the dimension shifting, since the monsters on Premature Return are absorbed by him in card form on his card, showing a monster that exists outside the fourth wall may be the ultimate culprit. Honorable mentions are cool, so let's do some. Inpachi's involved in that captain story and the #1 entry, so he deserves a shout out. Basically, he goes from living tree man to tree man on fire to sad extinguished tree man to giant robo tree man. The Royal King from Imperial Order. This king seems to be different from the tyrant, but with a similar fate. There's a bunch of rebels that catapult rocks into his castle, which has minor differences from the tyrant's castle. The rebels then storm the castle after weakening defenses. Did Yugioh really have two royal revolts happening at the same time, or is this king related to the tyrant and I just missed something? Anyway, that's all for the honorable mentions, because it's time for the top pick.
Alright, number 1. Is it Frog the Jam?
No, it's not Frog the Jam. That would tear apart the fabric of reality if it was, but it is a green animal-like creature. Number 1 is the most extensive storyline I've seen, and he's intertwined with some of the others I've discussed so far. It's Yugioh. Quite the name there. He was the first in his card line to come out, but in Yugioh Begins, we learn of his origin as the tiny Gigabyte. Even his card lore implies he has a large adventure ahead of him. In his youth, he hung out with Area the Water Charmer, and it was a merry day for all. By discovering the triangle power, Gigabyte digivolved into Gigabyte, who did not do much for the story. He might have been the companion of a future version of Area, or that could have just been Yugioh, since they hardly have any discernible traits without the electricity. Let's assume everything is Yugioh from now on. He apparently leaves Area, adventuring the land, ice skating, and getting into that fight with Freed, which leaves him stuck in another dimension.
In another dimension!
While wandering that dimension, he meets the Archfiends, which sounds like it could be the name of a charming family sitcom, but they're hellspawns, and they attempt to sacrifice him. Somehow Yugioh escapes and ends up in that cell battle mentioned in the captain's tale. At the height of the battle, Yugioh defends one of the captain's allies from Invader of Darkness in return for the captain saving Yugioh earlier. Ironically now, the reptile shares allies with one of his greatest enemies, Freed.
Reptiles and soldiers make strange bedfellows.
In that fight, he was severely injured and met with the scientist Kozaki, who was willing to help Yugioh get stronger with cybernetic enhancements. This would improve his body for rematches against the Invader or Freed. He ultimately chose the latter, but first Kozaki chooses an efficient and quick method to get this reptile's new Giga form out of his lab. Freed seems to have acquired a draining shield though, which easily defeated Yugioh. With his madness increasing when trying to beat his rival, he seeks out Monster Gate, which powers him up even more. But as Yugioh's card lore states, he has basically forgotten why he's doing all of this and just lives to kill all those that stand in his way soullessly. He seeks out Freed once again, and marauding Captain tries to get through to his former ally to stop this insanity. Yugioh seems to power up one more time, and the captain throws him into another dimension where the reptile currently wanders. Maybe he'll get back to his old self someday, but that ends the current chapter of Yugioh at this time. So, what did you think of these choices? Were there backstories I ignored that deserve recognition, or even parts of backstories I left out? Were all these tales the perfect bedtime story compilation? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and thanks to AT for helping out. Check out his channel if you feel so inclined for video game reviews and other content. I've even done some guest voiceover in a few of his videos, like his Did You Know Gaming parody anime edition I've mentioned in a previous video. Anyway, comment and click the clickable things if you'd like, and we will see you in the next video.